Hi guys, and welcome back to another Borkino game video. Today's video is dedicated to the beginner guide, so let's get to it. Now in this beginner guide, I'm going to try to cover everything from re-rolling to getting as much progress as you possibly can when starting SINoALICE. So one of the first things you're going to do is obviously re-roll, and this re-rolling process to me can be very important, and the reason why is because it's very difficult to get SR weapons in the very beginning. And that's just because there's so many things that can pretty much dictate like how your game pretty much flows. If you are going to be like a Vanguard or DPS main, you want to deal damage in this game, then you're ideally aim for this class and one other sword. Pretty much the Breaker class or the Sword class is the most free-to-play class for DPS in the beginning of the game because there's a high availability of swords. Now, as far as the support classes, you can either go Cleric, which is probably the easiest support class and probably the most, sorry to say, like the most replaceable at the same time. They're not as necessary in the late game as your team gets better and better, but it's still probably the best PvE support class in the entire game because you always need stabs, alright? But in PvP, they fall off just a little bit. Because your Sorks and Minstrels, which are the other supports, can essentially bring stabs and play that role as well. Now this is known as the Sork class, the ones with books. Essentially that's going to be the debuffing class, and the class that hasn't been shown is the Minstrel class, which is the only Minstrel class currently available is through the reroll process, and it's known as like the buffing class, right? So if you want to buff in this game, you have to reroll for Gretel Minstrel. I'm not sure if she's going to pop up, but essentially you're going to need her and her weapon in order to... Oh, there she is! Speak of the devil. This is what you're going to need if you want to, play Minstrel. Now, technically, this is a bad reroll since I only got one SR weapon, and there's not a lot of, Minstrel or support-oriented, weapons in this reroll. But there you go. There she is. So, if you're a DPS, try to get SR swords. Ideally, get, Cinderella. I wouldn't really try to like spec for like spears or anything in the beginning. You can also try to reroll for like a spear build because spears are pretty available in the game as well. You get a lot of like free spears, but I'm gonna tell you swords is the way to go, and Cleric is probably, even though it falls off in the late game, the easiest to build for supports. And if you're gonna wonder which support is probably the best for late game, you can't go wrong going, Minstrels or Sorks. Both are very, very, like, high functioning. And the only reasons why, like, I'm not mentioning, like, the other classes, because there's not a lot of bows available, and there's not a lot of hammers available. So it's just harder to build them per se. Alright, so we finally got a good reroll. We got the SR Sword Blade of Depravity, then we got the SR Swordsmith Spellbook Sword. So this is a fantastic reroll if you are a DPS. Let's go ahead and continue here. Boom, boom, boom. Knock it out. Say stuff. So for this section in particular, it doesn't really matter what you pick, because you get all of these for free. So like snow. It's cool. So one of the first things that you're going to do into the game is Purify. So Purify, you essentially just draw circles. Ideally, you draw the circle before. Now, my whole thing with this is you probably don't want to try too hard right here, because you don't want to like level from rank 1 to rank 20 really quickly. And the reason why is because ideally use these earlier ranks to, beat story and then get into Gorilla as fast as you possibly can, alright? You need to beat, I believe, chapter 1 or chapter 2, I forget which one, to unlock the Gorilla section. And the reason why Gorilla section is so important is because that's going to be your main source of weapon EXP. So if you go into story, main story, it's gonna take you right here. They're gonna kind of show you how to like play the game. You're gonna have like a preset gear. Should have technically used green there. they're trying to show you like which element is better. They're also showing you like SP management. SP management is mostly important for late game. SP management is this bar right here below. And the reason why it's so important is because SP, you know, it shows you how many times you can cast a skill, and it recovers for a certain amount. That's also the animation when someone pops into the game. So right here, ideally you use, you know, a green weapon because they are all water or blue. And since this lad is a red person, you use the blue one because he is weak to the blue. Fact goes bye bye, good night, and then we go almost bye bye, good night. Umbrella, Red Riding Hood, and Gretel all appear, help save the day. So this is all like animations and stuff that are like preset, so it won't actually be like this. Getting like, so red is good, as in red is buffed, blue is bad and debuffed, right? So it's really good that this dragon got debuffed. Now we can even summon a nightmare, and this nightmare in particular gives us buffs. So now we are at plus 10 instead of plus 5. So that's what that does. That nightmare actually doesn't do that. It's all for example purposes. And there we go. We beat the dragon. So it's actually going through a lot of things in that earlier beginning part. It's kind of hard to tell what actually is happening. We just got the Alice class right there. So pretty much like the first thing that I want us to do is just, you can go here into menu, go into options, and then in options, you know, you can leave the push notifications on or off. Make sure you turn on skip scenarios, turn on high quality mode, and auto sell specs, because that's just for gold, right? Set these settings in the very beginning, go back into story, and I essentially want us to do the same storyline as fast as you possibly can, or you can do, you know, you can get all of the characters. It doesn't really matter. In the beginning, it doesn't really matter. The most important part is you unlock the event section as soon as you can before you get to rank 20. So you can, you know, start leveling up your gear and start using your gear as fast as possible in the most efficient way as possible. One thing really quick that I want to check, if we go into the home section, get our login bonus today, I'm going to get that spear eventually, get the blood vials because that's what's happening during this time frame. Go into this mailbox section and make sure to claim everything that you can, just a lot of free goodies, you know, no strings attached. Here we go, click it all. Take it all for yours for the taking. Class from there as well. Alright, so after you do that, you might as well upgrade your gear, because this is the most important part as a beginner, even as like a player who's like progressing in the game. The most important part is leveling all of your SR gear, all of your weapons. Alright, let's upgrade this bad boy first, since it is probably the best weapon that I have on my grid. So, most important part, SINoALICE. Leveling gear. So the first things that you want to do, level up SRs. In the beginning phases of the game, level your SRs to level 50. Ideally get them to level 60, but 50 works in the beginning as well. After you get them to 50, max level your S ranks. Now move back to your SRs and max level those. After you have max leveled your SRs and your S's, start to max level any A ranks that can go up to SR. After you have max leveled your A ranks that you believe in, that you're going to use, start evolving your SR. And evolve them only if you know you can max level them. After you have max leveled your SRs that have been evolved, so a legendary that's max leveled to, I believe, level 80. Once it's at that, then essentially you can start evolving your S ranks to SR. Any A ranks that can go in, and eventually you'll have a full legendary and SR grid that is max leveled. Now that's the goal. And then after you have a a grid that is full of legendaries and SRs all at max level, you're essentially just sitting on a bed of crystals, waiting for banners and pulling on them, getting an SR and max leveling them, because that's the cycle of SINoALICE. Is you essentially have an SR, max level it, you evolve it, after you evolve it, you level it to max, and now you have a brand new spanking piece. You can cover more advanced topics later on, but that is essentially what you do in SINo. Get an SR, level it, evolve it, max level it, boom. Alright, so final part of the video. If you go in the story, into events, and in events, see the gorilla. This is what we've been talking about. From account rank 1 to account rank 20, gorilla is your home, alright? So within like the 20-minute time frame that it's available, I'll provide the SINoALICE Database timer, which is right here, and the links down below. This is the most important part from account rank 1 to account rank 20. I just want to emphasize that. Click here. You're essentially gunning for these weapon EXP. You will use them to go to upgrade your gear, right? Upgrade all of the gear. So once you get to account rank 20 and you have upgraded your gear, now I want you to go into story, and then in story go into main story and pretty much do all of the stories that is available. Unlock all the classes. Each little bubble is a class that that can be unlocked, and essentially you're going from account rank 20 to account rank 60, and in your journey from going from account rank 20 to account rank 60, you're going to max level all of your gear, and then evolve your gear, and then max level again. That's pretty much beginner part 1, is max level all of your SRs, then your S ranks, then your A ranks, evolve your SR ranks, max level them, evolve your S ranks, max level them, evolve your A ranks, then max level those. It's very difficult to max level a legendary gear, SR to L, so stop at around like 60, but if you can afford it, ideally go to 80, which is the max level for a legendary. And then just to circle on all the topics we've covered today, we've talked about re-rolling and what my recommendations are. Remember, there is no tier list or anything like that. I was just giving you like pretty much what I have learned playing this game. Pretty much Breaker is the most free-to-play Vanguard class. Clerics are the pretty much most easiest to build and most free-to-play class, but they do tend to fall off a little in the late game, but they will never fall off in PvE. Zorks and Minstrels are pretty much future-proof and will last forever. And then we've covered Purify, going from account rank 1 to account rank 20, essentially stay in Gorilla for those ranks. And then the basics of SP management, more of SP management's more advanced later on. It's sort of a late game thing, but don't really worry too much as a beginner. The basics of colors, essentially, the red gets beaten by water, and then water gets beaten by green. And then lastly, the SINo cycle, where it's essentially max leveling gear, right? Max leveling gear, SR, S, A rank, evolve, max level SRs, max level S ranks, max level, all the gears. All of the gears, because gear is what pretty much makes SINo flow. Alright, so that's it for this video. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. I will see you